What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Conor McGregor reacts to Khamzat Chimaev fight. While Conor McGregor often enjoys stirring the pot and taking aim at his peers, the former champ switched gears ahead of this weekend's UFC 294 card in Abu Dhabi. In an Instagram comment made this week leading up to the event, McGregor expressed his excitement about the scrap between Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. A much better fighter at 185, but he must face bigger opponents now, albeit not this fight as he faces a 170 on a steep skid, but he himself gets to weigh the bigger weight. A perfect fight for the Chechen. I'm excited to see this story unfold. Heading into the fight, there's been a lot of talk regarding Kamaru Usman's legendary takedown defense, which has seen him post a UFC record 97% takedown defense. Given that, many believe he'll be able to fight off the wrestling onslaught of the former two-time Swedish national wrestling champion en route to earning himself a crack at the title. On the flip side, the odds have Chimaev sitting as a favorite heading into the scrap, with many fans and analysts of the mindset that he will extend his unbeaten streak this weekend when the two meet in the octagon. Next up, let's take a look at Islam Makhachev reveals the truth on Khabib's decision. When it was announced that Khabib Nurmagomedov would no longer be handling cornering duties, many fans figured that he would make an exception for his cousins Usman and Umar Nurmagomedov and his longtime friend Islam Makhachev. Leading up to UFC 294, Makhachev explained why Nurmagomedov has decided to step away from cornering and attending events entirely, instead of making a rare appearance for big fights. While speaking with media members, Makhachev explained through a translator, "We have a very big team. What if Khabib is there for one of us? We're all equal. No matter if somebody's a champion and the other guy is still on his way up, we all support each other. If he is there for my fight, he will need to be there for every single one from our team, to not let anyone feel abandoned. He has already said that he will not attend the fights and will not corner anyone. And we all support him in this decision." With Nurmagomedov famously predicting that Volkanovski would give Makhachev a tough fight the first time the two competed, it'll be interesting to see how things play out this time around. Next up, let's take a look at UFC in trouble after warning. Leading up to UFC 294 this weekend, the US State Department has issued a warning to Americans traveling abroad to the Middle East, including Abu Dhabi. As the announcement from the State Department indicated, due to tensions around the world, citizens traveling abroad should exercise increased caution. Although the situation hasn't stopped Dana White and several American fighters from traveling overseas to the event, it could have an impact on fighters desiring to compete on future cards in Abu Dhabi. In recent years, the UFC has held a number of events at the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi, with Fight Island being an integral part of the promotion schedule. This week, the UFC and the Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Tourism extended their partnership through 2028, meaning that the UFC will be heading back to Abu Dhabi a number of times in the coming years in spite of the latest warning. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Francis Ngannou versus Dana White beef continues. The beef between Dana White and former heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou took another turn this week when the Predator took to social media, bringing attention to the UFC's decision to blur out a shirt worn by Kamaru Usman that featured Ngannou's name across the front. While the promotion didn't blur out the Roots of Fight logo on the sleeve, editors blurred out the graphic on the front of the shirt, prompting Ngannou to crack a joke about the matter, writing, "Hey bro, Kamaru Usman, that's a nice shirt you have there, but I can't see what is in front," along with a winking emoji. Ahead of Ngannou's upcoming boxing match with Tyson Fury, which is set to take place on October 28th in Saudi Arabia, Dana White was asked during the UFC 294 press conference whether or not he believes UFC 294 can outperform the event.
I would certainly hope so. I would certainly hope so, yeah. Listen, let's be honest, without smashing anybody here, these are the best fighters in the world in each weight class. That's what you want to see. I mean, you want to see the best fight the best. You know, these two right here and these two right here are the best. I would say yes, sir. But I'm pretty biased.
That wasn't the only shade seemingly thrown Ngannou's way this week. With the highly anticipated release of EA Sports UFC 5 right around the corner, news about the game has continued to emerge. A list posted on social media of the top 5 fighters with the highest power ratings in UFC 5 did not include Ngannou, sparking outrage from fans who hoped that he would be in the game despite no longer being on the UFC's roster. Fortunately for fans, the game will include a number of notable figures such as Fedor Emelianenko and Mike Tyson, giving fans plenty of fighters to choose from in addition to the UFC fighters in the game. Next, let's take a look at Dana White defends Paulo Costa for pulling out. When the UFC 294 showdown between Khamzat Chimaev and Paulo Costa was announced, many fans feared that the fight would never wind up taking place. With Costa and Chimaev both previously coming into fight weeks overweight in the past, and a fight between Costa and Robert Whittaker falling through, there was plenty of skepticism surrounding this fight. Although Costa wanted to remain on the card, he was ultimately forced out of the fight due to a staph infection in his elbow that required serious medical intervention in the form of 2 surgeries. During the UFC 294 press conference this week, Dana White defended Costa.
Listen, I can say this. I know this isn't a popular answer for him right now, but listen, Paulo Costa could be a pain in the ass, no doubt about it, but he's seriously injured. He's seriously injured and needs to get his elbow taken care of. It's legit. Listen, if it wasn't legit, I'd be the first one to say it. Absolutely legit that guy is seriously injured and needed to do what he needed to do.
With the former middleweight title challenger on the mend, the hope is that he will be able to return to action sooner rather than later. Of course, when it comes to staph infections, it's no secret that they are incredibly unpredictable and often difficult to treat, meaning that although Costa wants to return to action as soon as possible, things may be out of his control for now. We already know it's going down this weekend. We've partnered up with DraftKings to bring all of you an exciting offer that's too good to miss. Right now, new customers that sign up using our promo code MMAZone and bet just $5 on any of this weekend's fights will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. Did you hear me right? That's $200 in bonus bets for new customers when they bet just $5 on any of this weekend's fights. Stay in on the action and you can use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same fight parlays, where you can combine multiple bets together from the same fight, like how many rounds the fight will last and how it'll end. DraftKings is the only place where you can bet same fight parlays. If sports betting isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. There, DraftKings is offering huge UFC contests this weekend with massive cash prizes up for grabs. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers who use promo code MMAZone and bet just $5 on any wager will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code MMAZone, only at DraftKings. Next, let's take a look at Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski back and forth. Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev's UFC 284 clash in Perth, Australia was one of the most competitive title fights in recent memory. The bout saw both men find success at different points, with Makhachev ultimately winning a controversial decision. Immediately after the fight, the two men agreed to run things back in the future, with Volkanovski offering to fight in Abu Dhabi. This time around, Makhachev will not only have the crowd on his side, but he'll also be going into the bout after a full training camp. During the UFC 294 press conference, the two men verbally sparred ahead of this weekend's action, with Volkanovski saying that he doesn't need the advantage of a hometown crowd to get the job done.
Islam needs all the advantages he can get. That's all he thinks about. I don't need none of that.
Brother,
I've got these. That's all I worry about.
You don't
mate.
need, I need this, brother.
I rely on my skills, not crowds, not nothing.
Makhachev was quick to fire back, alleging that Volkanovski took the short notice fight in search of a payday, while suggesting he should be thankful that he gets another crack at the belt.
Everybody know what you need, just money, that's it. You have to say thanks to me. I can choose any other opponent. We have Gamrot, we have Poirier, everybody ready for fight to the belt, but I give you second time chance.
But everyone wants this rematch anyway, so we're going to put on a show.
Just say thank you, that's it.
When it comes to Makhachev having an extra 10 hours to rehydrate this time around, Volkanovski seemed completely unfazed and prompting the champ to warn him that he will have a chance to feel his power this weekend, giving fans more reason to be excited about the highly anticipated rematch between the pair. Next, let's take a look at George St-Pierre reveals bad news on Nick Diaz fight. The highly anticipated return of George St-Pierre at the UFC Fight Pass Invitational 6 grappling event in December will have to wait. While St-Pierre had his sights set on returning to active competition on the card, an injury sustained in training will not only prevent the former two-division champ from competing, it'll also prevent his opponent, MMA legend Nick Diaz, from competing as well. As St-Pierre explained in a recent interview with the Sports Network, both he and Diaz will have to heal up from injuries before the two can run things back on the mats.
Yeah, they had an opponent. His name was Nick Diaz. And people that are familiar with the sport, they know we compete against each other in mixed martial art. Unfortunately, he's hurt. I think he has a neck injury, and I just got hurt myself as well. I have a shoulder injury. So yeah, it's I have to wait a few weeks to see if it will require a surgery, because some of the things, it's wear and tear, will heal by itself. But when I got hurt, maybe something maybe the problem is mechanical. So I have to wait a few weeks to see if it will require a surgery, and unfortunately it will be canceled and perhaps postponed in the future.
The news is a massive blow to the combat sports community, who have been eager to see GSP compete after walking away from the sport following his middleweight title win over Michael Bisping in 2017. In the case of Nick Diaz, the former Strikeforce champ has been dealing with neck problems since his 2021 clash with Robbie Lawler. Following the fight, many expected Diaz to retire. However, he remained in the USADA testing pool and underwent surgery, keeping the door open for a return. With the latest news, fans will have to wait until next year to see the two former rivals square off once more. Islam Makhachev got heated during an interview and stormed out.
Okay, going to improve your performance. Would you wear the budgies for training? No?
Dana White re-banned flags in the octagon amidst the conflict in Israel, not allowing fighters to bring flags into Abu Dhabi at UFC 294. Makhachev, who fights Tim Elliott at UFC 294, posted on Twitter saying, "No flags at UFC 294, making fans speculate that the boss man told everyone on the card that there wasn't going to be any flags allowed." Top comments: if Sean can beat Khamzat just like he beat Izzy, he'll be the most upset-causing fighter ever. John Jones has faced way tougher competition throughout his career than Islam. They definitely swapped Nate and Khamzat last minute after they realized the bad look it would have been. I know Khamzat said after he missed weight that he was on target to make weight, and then the UFC sent the doctor to check on him, and they told him he wasn't medically cleared to continue cutting weight, which is why he missed weight by such a huge amount. He says that no one on his team requested the doctor and that he wasn't having any problems with cutting the weight. If that's true and he stuck to it since the fight, then it sounds like the UFC did in fact force him to miss weight so they could rearrange the card. To be fair, that change was probably the best thing the UFC could have done for that card. Everyone wanted to see Nate Diaz have a good last fight in the UFC, and everyone knew Khamzat wouldn't be it. At Diaz's age, Chimaev would have wrapped him up just as quickly as he did Holland. People were angry at the UFC for booking the match regardless of Diaz saying he wanted it, since it seemed like they were just throwing him to the wolves for his final match. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.